So this is the second video in this series where I'm taking you through some of my 3D sketching techniques. In the first video I focused on subtraction, where we were taking volumes from other volumes and creating shapes in that way. In this video I'm going to be focusing on an additive process where we're adding volumes onto one another to create more complicated shapes. So I've actually got these little blocks that I think might help explain this process a little bit. So let's start with this one. So when we look at this, basically it's just two rectangular shapes. We can start by just showing a simple rectangle, and it comes back about there, like that. We can also just have fun with it and say, okay, I'm going to just draw a box. What happens if I add on another taller volume to that? So we start getting this shape. Okay, what happens if we give this new one a triangular top? So maybe we could give this one a similar triangular top. Maybe there's another volume that is extruded out from this one. Maybe it's kind of like a chimney. And you can see that you can quickly start to, just by adding these simple volumes, you can create these kind of interesting forms. Maybe there's this kind of more linear one. I've got another shape here which is kind of an interesting form. So what would this look like if I say repeated it? We've got a little rectangle here that forms the base. This is the top, right? Something like that. So the next one would be here, like this. A triangular piece up here. But maybe this next one comes out back on itself like this, like that. This is a good little tip about showing line weight. I've got a marker here which has a thicker line weight to this other pen that I've been using, and that we can use that to kind of start to show the outline of what we're drawing a little bit more clearly and give some definition to the shapes. And now all of a sudden you can kind of start to read these individual volumes that we're creating. So it's good to just play around with these shapes and kind of start looking at them from different angles. These wooden blocks are a really good design tool as well, being a bit more playful with three-dimensional shapes and volumes. So we could try to stack it like that, and that's kind of an interesting shape. So we've got this lower piece here, and on top of that sits this other block like that. So you kind of start to get this module that forms from, these interlocking cubes. And let's try another one. We got to keep going, got to keep practicing. So what happens if we just take a very simple volume like that, and we take another one up here and we start repeating it? What does that look like? You can start to see that you kind of get this interesting interlocking shape, and again, that's all formed by just repeating this one simple volume. We could do a bigger volume like this, and maybe there's a smaller volume underneath like that, and maybe there's another volume up here, which maybe, does that cantilever over? Does this come out a little bit more? You just push that side out, and then it kind of pops out over that side. If this was a building, this could be the street. You could have almost like a public space out here. It's almost like an arcade or something. I'm not designing here, I'm just playing around with shapes, and I'm thinking about how these volumes could actually potentially inform a design. So I'm going to leave it there. These were just a really quick exercise in developing this skill of additive isometric sketching. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can just sit down for a couple of minutes, and that's the best way to actually develop a habit of drawing and improving your skill set. One of the key ideas behind habit building is to make it easy and fun, and so these short sessions of just sketching and having fun with simple volumes is like probably the best like entry point into doing more complicated sketches. So I hope this video was helpful. This technique of adding volumes to create more complex volumes is a very effective way of like quickly communicating ideas and developing concepts. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and look out for the next video in this series, which will be developing these more basic forms and adding details. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.